Perhaps the longest drive of his life, torn apart and still able to get himself to the hospital. One man's narrow escape from the grasp of a grizzly.
Plus, with smaller class sizes, how private schools are gearing up for the fall semester, making sure students and staff remain safe.
Great Falls residents out of work due to COVID-19 are now worried about receiving one of these on their front doorstep. I'm Keely Van Middendorp, and I'll have more on eviction notices coming up next.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Also tonight, hot and dry. More on the fire outlook for western Montana. Thanks for making us a part of your evening. I'm Tim McGonigal.
And I'm Hallie Schwinnard. First tonight, a scary encounter with a grizzly bear.
Reports of a bear attack in Teton County last night that left one man in the hospital. We want to warn you, some of the video you're about to see is graphic. MTN's Matt Holzapfel has the story.
Details are still scarce right now, but here's what we do know. Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks is investigating after receiving reports of a man and his wife encountering a wild bear out in rural Choteau on Monday night. The victim has been identified as Shannon Rammel. He and his wife heard reports of a bear in the area and went to investigate. According to a family friend, they were a few miles north of their home when they found it. Shannon and the bear startled each other. The bear then grabbed Shannon, leaving him with several wounds requiring stitches.
It was a surprise attack. They were ready to leave. It was the husband, the wife, and I think their little girl is 9 or 10. And Shannon says, well, here, let me check in here. The bear was just inside the door, off to the side. It immediately grabbed Shannon by his shoulder and was throwing him around in the air, but he also has a nice gash in his arm, but he did spend the night in the hospital.
According to Julie, Rammel was flown to Benefits Health System in Great Falls around 7 p.m. Monday.
His wife drove him to the Choteau Hospital for the ER. He drove himself for a while, and then she says, I need to drive. I spoke with the Teton County Sheriff's Office, and they did confirm that Fish, Wildlife and Parks is leading this investigation. The FWP has not yet confirmed any of the details of this encounter, as this is believed to be an ongoing investigation. In Great Falls, Matt Holzapfel, MTN News.
And we'll keep you updated when new information is released by Fish, Wildlife and Parks as they continue the investigation.
Wildland fires have already been popping up in western Montana over the last week, and our current hot and dry weather pattern will only exacerbate already dry conditions, with temperatures forecasted to reach the 90s and even triple digits through next Monday. The middle and higher elevations are drying out quickly. The entirety of western Montana is projected to see above normal fire behavior in the weeks ahead. Northern Rockies Coordinator Center predictive meteorologist Michael Richmond says this late July heat wave is setting the table for a potentially smoky August and September.
The fire danger escalates in a matter of days, and we do see the potential for dry lightning at various times and places from the Continental Divide westward through Friday. There are going to be fire starts each day, today through Friday.
Richmond does offer some good news, saying a lack of wind through the weekend means fire ignitions are not likely to spread quickly. With that, as the heat continues for the Treasure State, our Storm Tracker weather team is here to tell us more. Grant Garland joins us now. Grant.
Good evening, Hallie, and good evening, everyone. And that's exactly right. So our temperatures today were around 93 degrees. And how dry we are? Well, we're looking at the teens for us here in the Electric City at 17%, as well as up towards Havre, 12% in Cut Bank, down towards Helena, just slightly better at 20%. So very dry out there. And Hayes looking at 84 degrees across Montana, Cut Bank 91, Fort Benton 93, and looking at Helena 90 in some locations. 81 in Lewistown, 89 in Great Falls, 96 still in Havre, and 97 out towards Jordan. And our winds, well, we're seeing 11-mile-per-hour winds here in Great Falls, but up on the high line around 14 miles an hour in Cut Bank, as well as Glasgow 14. Now, over the last 3 hours, we have been looking at a few thunderstorms around Lewistown and south of Helena, so that could mean that we could be looking at some grass fires if there is cloud-to-ground lightning. Hopefully that is not the case. Tonight, we will be looking at mostly clear to partly cloudy skies, temperatures around 59 degrees. Now, some cooler weather is on the way, but we're going to have to deal with the heat through the weekend. We'll talk about that later on, but for now, back to you.
All right, thanks, Grant. The end of the month brings worries for many renters. Some are finding themselves out of work and now out of money to pay for things like rent, as extra unemployment benefits ended Saturday in Montana. MTN's Keely Van Mittendorp sat down with one organization ready to keep roofs over renters' heads.
The safe place to be is housed.
As we continue through this pandemic, housing leaders like Carla Seaman say they've seen the number of renters in need double over the past few months.
We had 67 in April, 198 in May, 160 in June, and 129 in July so far.
Seaman says her organization is prepared to handle an influx of renters who are about to receive these eviction notices on their front doorsteps or in their mailboxes in the coming days.
That's what we're here for, is to help, to give a hand up, to say, you know, at the time of need, that we're here for you.
She's heard stories of longtime renters suddenly out of work due to COVID-19 who are now facing eviction.
One couple, they've been in their apartment for 14 years, have never been late on a payment. And the landlord's actually the one that contacted us first.
Seaman says Opportunities Incorporated also works with landlords to settle rental disputes and eviction notices.
Communication's key. One is with the tenants and also with the landlords, because they go hand in hand.
She encourages anyone facing eviction to contact Opportunities Incorporated, that number listed on our websites. In Great Falls, Keely Van Mittendorp, MTN News.
Seaman says tenants facing financial hardships don't need to be ashamed to reach out and ask for help. They're seeing many new faces that are asking for assistance for the first time. 4 more deaths from coronavirus have pushed Montana's toll to 52. 2 of the victims are from Custer County, 1 from Yellowstone County, 1 from Gallatin. The state of Montana reports 94 new cases since Monday, and the state total is inching towards 3,500. There are more than 1,200 active cases in the Treasure State.
There's been a lot of talk lately about COVID-19 testing delays, but there's a new technology to help with one specific test. It's called serology test. Serology, or antibody test, looks for the presence of antibodies, which are specific proteins made in response to infections. Now the CDC has unveiled laboratory robots to help get results from those antibody tests more quickly. The robots can test more than 3,600 samples a day, compared to about 400 samples a public health scientist can test in that same time period.
As the new school year quickly approaches, families have some potentially difficult choices to make about what education looks like this upcoming semester. We're continuing an initiative called Safely Back to School throughout this week. We'll look at different perspectives and options for parents and students. And this evening, MTN's Shannon Newth takes us to a private school for a look at their plan and philosophy for the fall at this time.
Foothills Community Christian School serves around 150 students in pre-K through 12th grade. They're planning to start the school year on time on August 31st with face-to-face instruction in the classroom. The faith-based school board sought counsel from the CDC, City County Health Department, and more in making their decision on how they'll approach the fall semester.
The general philosophy is, as a faith-based school, we're interested in doing things that are faith-directed as opposed to fear, or as opposed to being presumptive or arrogant in terms of doing things and ignoring the realities that we face.
Here's what that means for the upcoming school year. Masks will be optional for both staff and students. Kids can use playground equipment with parental permission. There will be increased cleaning and disinfecting around the school. Culpepper says social distancing won't be a problem.
The classrooms that we have, the room sizes are fairly large, and we have small classes. Our average class size is about 10.
And when students can't space out, they'll have laminated boards to put up between desks. For Foothills, there's a lot more to education than a book or virtual meeting.
There's the developmental needs that a child has that really begins to awaken about age 9 or 10, right before puberty, where that social interaction is huge for them to learn skill sets that they'll take into adulthood. And you can't get that virtually.
If the governor reverts Montana back to phase 1, Foothills would go back to remote learning as they did this past spring. For now, the biggest changes are increased disinfecting and cleaning. In Great Falls, Shannon Newth, MTN News.
Foothills also supports families who choose to homeschool and even provides curriculum and lesson plans for interested families.
I'm Mike Dennison in Helena. Coming up, Local election officials already are saying they want an all-mail ballot for the November election.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
Welcome back. Will Montana have an all-mail ballot for the November 3rd general election? County election officials in Montana are saying the time to decide is now, and they've asked Governor Bullock to give them that power, as he did for the primary election. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison has the story.
It may seem like a long time until the general election, 14 weeks to be precise. But for the people who conduct the election, it's not.
If we are looking at a mail ballot election, that means more envelopes, that means increased capacity to process mail ballots. That means looking at if postage is covered or not on the return envelopes. And those are things that take time to plan for.
And that's why last Friday, Montana's local election officials formally asked Governor Bullock to allow them to choose an all-mail ballot for the general election, or not, and to give them that power no later than August 10th. McHugh said if that power is granted, she'll be recommending Lewis and Clark County go to all-mail ballots, as did every Montana county for the primary election. She also says across the state, county election officials are finding that the coronavirus pandemic is upending the election landscape. Many of the usual polling places may be inaccessible to the public, and counties say they doubt they can find enough election judges to be at the polls. Under his emergency powers, Bullock can supersede election laws and allow counties to choose all-mail ballots. His office says he'll be consulting with election and health officials and political leaders from both parties before making the call. McHugh says the primary election provided a good test run for an all-mail statewide election, and it was mostly positive.
When we did the primary election by mail ballot, it was safe, it was effective. We had higher turnout than we normally do. So we think given the circumstances and the time frame, that would be the best way to conduct the general election.
And something else to keep in mind that argues for an early decision. In a general election with a presidential race, in Montana, usually at least 200,000 more people vote than in the primary. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
The all-mail primary election had a record turnout for a primary in Montana, breaking the old record by almost 90,000 ballots.
Steve Bullock's U.S. Senate campaign and a Montana company are asking Montana TV stations to pull a Republican campaign ad they say is false and defamatory. The ad, which began running statewide late last week, says Bullock steered state contracts to his brother's company. The ad is from the National Republican Senatorial Committee, which is opposing Bullock in his Senate run against Republican Senator Steve Daines. The Bullock campaign and the company, Pioneer Technical Services of Butte, says it won all contracts in competitive bidding. And it says that Bullock's brother sold his financial interest in the environmental consulting firm in 2009, 4 years before Bullock became governor. The NRSC says it stands by the ad and notes that Bullock's brother, Bill, is still on the company's board of directors. A letter from the company's lawyer says TV stations, they could be held liable for defamation if they don't pull the ad.
Well, temperatures tonight falling down to 59 degrees in Great Falls, 61 in Malta. Don't go away. I'll have your 7-day forecast coming up right after this break.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Grant Garland.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you have had a great Tuesday. We are one day closer to Friday. You know, just keep that in the back of your heads as we're going through these hot days. 93 degrees today. That's what we saw here in Great Falls. 92 down towards Helena. If you head on up to Havre, though, 97 degrees. Very, very warm. Now, we're still waiting on the official numbers for our friends in Glasgow and Jordan. So 93 degrees today. The typical temperature we see for Great Falls is right around 86. So, you know, 7 degrees warmer. That's pretty hot for me. The record was set back in 1975 when it was 100 degrees. That was also the year that Jimmy Hoffa's body, went missing. I'll let the conspiracies start there. Currently, temperatures 89 in Great Falls, 81 in Lewistown, up towards Cut Bank, 90 degrees, 93 in Glasgow, and 97 in Jordan. As far as our winds are concerned, well, we did see a few gusty winds today, especially down towards Helena, 23 miles an hour, and Cut Bank, 28, 16 out in Jordan, and 22 in the Electric City. Now, over the last 3 hours, we have been looking at pop-up showers and thunderstorms. So go ahead and zoom in here. We're looking at right around Towson as well as White Sulphur Springs, looking at some scattered showers and thunderstorms there. Also, we're looking at showers and thunderstorms right close to Fort Belknap as well as down towards Hayes. And so my main concern with any of these it's going to be cloud-to-ground lightning that could start some grass fires. So, let us know if you do see any of those. What's at play here in the atmosphere? We have a high pressure that's really going to stay down into right around the Wyoming-Montana border, as well as a warm front that will be lifting closer towards Glasgow as we go into around 10 o'clock tonight. Heading into tomorrow morning, we're going to be looking at these kind of key features, not really moving so much. However, though, as we go throughout the day on Wednesday, low pressure does track out towards Saskatchewan and Glasgow. We will start to see a cold front too swing through. Now, we are looking also at scattered showers and thunderstorms tomorrow, but I think the best chance will be in southwestern parts of Montana as well as down towards Helena. Now, as we head throughout the night on Wednesday into Thursday, that cold front does try to make its way into Great Falls, but it's just not going to be able to. And I should say cool front because our temperatures are actually going to surge into around 95 degrees on Thursday. So heads up, very, very warm day. As we head throughout the day, tomorrow we will look at winds between 5 to 10 miles an hour. Some locations like Great Falls, 10 to 20 miles an hour as we head into the nighttime hours. As far as when our driest day will be, our driest time rather, well, it's going to be right around the 3:30 mark when we're seeing 16% humidity. Very, very dry. The only good news is that we're not going to be looking at our wind gusts accompanying that, because then we could be looking at a real big problem for us. As far as our temperatures do go, like I said, 95 degrees. We're going to be looking at Friday through Sunday. So heads up for that warm weekend. It might be a good time to go out on the river and try and cool down. Just make sure though that you are staying safe with all the necessary gear, that you're also looking at sunscreen and you're getting in and out of the water so that way you're staying cool in maybe an air conditioning place. 88 degrees though on next Monday. And this is why we're actually possibly seeing a cooling trend developing in the next 2 weeks. So we're going to be looking at needing to make sure that we just get through these next couple of days. Tonight, looking at 59 degrees in Great Falls, 59 in Lewistown, and 61 up towards Havre. Going throughout the next couple of days, 93 on Thursday, mostly sunny skies. Heading into the weekend, though, 95 degrees with partly cloudy skies on Saturday, as well as on Sunday. Tom, take it away.
Coming up, we'll tell you how one Montana native made a name for himself on one of TV's most popular shows, American Gladiators.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
Well, Montana has produced plenty of professional athletes over the years, but not many of them reach the career highs of one 1979 CMR graduate.
Our Tom Wiley recently sat down with perhaps Montana's most interesting man.
1996, American Gladiators was one of the most popular shows on television, and Laser was one of the most popular competitors on the program.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Gladiator Arena in Los Angeles, California, here are your American Gladiators.
They couldn't come up with a name for me, and we were sitting in the producer's office, and I said, how about Laser? Because I was thinking laser beam, fast, quick, lightning quick, and they said, that's it, you're Laser. And that was it, yeah.
There's nothing faster than a laser beam. Nothing. I'm back.
But before Laser rose to nationwide fame, he was Jim Califat, one of the greatest football players in Montana's history, and his story starts at CMR, playing tailback and linebacker for the legendary Jack Johnson.
I think everybody knows Jack, and Jack is an icon, and he is a hero of mine. I mean, just a wonderful human being, and I owe much of my success not only on the field, but off the field as well, because that's the kind of man and coach he really is.
Jimmy Califat, yeah, he's a great kid. He's one of my favorites, and just a great football player. Could run and strong and tough, smart, loved to play football, loved the game.
For more on Jim Califat's journey from CMR to MSU to the NFL and then national television, check out the full story at montanasports.com. Reporting from home, Tom Wiley, MTN News.
Califat was the only cast member to appear on all 7 seasons of American Gladiators, and tonight at 10, we'll hear more about his experiences on the show. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Well, temperatures tonight falling down to around 59 degrees in Great Falls, as well as Helena and Lewistown, 58 in Cutbank and 66 in Glasgow. Heading throughout the day tomorrow, temperatures will rise up to around 92 here in Great Falls, as well as Cutbank and Hayes. Almost 100 degrees though in Havre. As we head throughout the next 3 days, we will be looking at mostly sunny skies. Temperatures warming up to around 95 Friday through Sunday, so definitely want to make sure that you are possibly dipping in the pool or something, staying close to that AC.
As the pandemic continues, families are doing what they can to stay safe and keep their children entertained, which, trust me, I know is not always easy. But one Utah family decided to use all their free time to create a game, and that's what started Surviving Quarantine. It turned into a teaching moment with some very real lessons with a side of humor.
We were trying to keep everything away from the kids. Then it was like, how can we bring it in and make it, bring it to their level where they can understand and appreciate it and not scare them and still be aware of what's happening. So I think that was kind of our bridge to do that.
The family says their Surviving Quarantine card game is currently in the fundraising stages, then it will go into production.
And a Wisconsin lottery winner is splitting his massive Powerball jackpot win with his best friend. After nearly 20 years ago, Thomas Cook made a deal with Joseph Feeney that if either of them ever won the lottery, they would share the winnings. Well, a $2 Powerball ticket Cook bought at a gas station in June was a winner. When Cook told Feeney he'd hit the $22 million jackpot and would be splitting with him, Feeney could hardly believe it. The friends choose the lump sum cash option, ending up with about $5.8 million after taxes. They say they're looking forward to traveling and spending more time with their family. Good friends. Wish I had more friends like that.
Seriously, should we make some deals?
All right, that's taken care of it. Have a good night.